Appreciate it. It's been a really great period of time. I'll be leaving now, as you know, for South Korea. Some of you will be coming with us. I understand that we may be meeting with Chairman Kim, and we'll find out. We spoke with the people. Kim Jong-un was very receptive. He responded, and so we'll see. Because tomorrow we're going to the DMZ. I said, while I'm there, I'll shake his hand. We get along. There's been no nuclear tests. There's been no long-range ballistic tests. Gave us back our hostages, which was great, and a lot of good things are happening over there. So I let them know we'll be there, and we'll see. I mean, I can't tell you exactly, but they did respond very favorably. I want to thank everyone for being here today. It's a lot of press. A lot of press is outside too. They're less happy than you are. But the G-20 summit has been fantastic. Prime Minister Abi's done an incredible job, as he always does. And he hosted it very beautifully. You know where it's going to be next year, I think, too. Most of you know where it's going to be next year. It's going to be in a very great part of the world. And we'll be announcing exactly what's happening. But this was a really good summit and really well done, so professionally done. This marks my third visit to Japan as president. Melania and I we just left Tokyo a short while ago, as you know, a very short while ago, where we were the first state guests to their majesties, the Emperor and Empress of Japan. And that was thrilling. First time in 202 years that an event like that took place. So that was quite exciting. And I'm thrilled to be back. I always like being back in Japan. We've had a great relationship. We've never been closer to Japan than we are right now. Over the past 2 days, leaders from the world's largest economies have convened here in Osaka, which is a tremendous city. You fly over and you say, does it ever stop? It's big, it's beautiful, it's clean, and it's really the job they do with industrial manufacturing and lots of other things is really incredible. We had a very productive conversation with a number of the leaders of not only nations but business leaders here in Japan, and together we put together a lot of ideas and a lot of challenges for the future that we'll be able to meet and get things going very well. Our meetings also touched on women's economic empowerment. You probably saw that Ivanka Trump she's done a fantastic job, and also a fantastic job in getting jobs for a lot of people within our country, almost 10 million people. The importance of resilient and secure infrastructure, we discussed that at great length. The need to uphold the rule of law and the critical importance of achieving a future for international trade that works all of the time for all of the people. In addition to the working sessions, we had a lot of working sessions. Many of you were at the working sessions. I had tremendous bilateral meetings with many of the heads of state, and just some of them are Australia, Japan, India, Germany, Russia, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, China, Turkey, UK, and I met with Mexico also, with the representatives of Mexico who have done an incredible job. They've really stepped up to the plate. I appreciate it, and I want to thank them. They have 6,000 troops at their southern border by Guatemala, and it's very hard to come in now. And they just ordered, really it was somewhat of a surprise, 16,000 troops at our southern border. Their immigration laws are very strong. Ours are a disaster. Ours are a disgrace to a country. We have loopholes and asylum that we could fix the asylum very quickly. We could get rid of and fix the loopholes, but we could get rid of the loopholes and we would have absolutely no problem at the border. But if you watch the debates, if you call them debates, whatever they were, they don't really, I think they want open borders, I guess, even though 4 years ago they wanted walls to be built. I heard we just had another judge rule against us on a section of wall, and that's disgraceful. We'll appeal it right away. Ninth Circuit, as usual, they go right into that Ninth Circuit. The good news, I put a lot of judges in, and a number of them are in the Ninth Circuit now, and it's very unfair. It's very unfair when a judge can do what they do, where a judge in a certain area can close down a country. But we also had a big victory last week with the wall. We had a judge in D.C. who gave us a very big victory. So we're building a lot of wall, but we had a ruling just yesterday, late, from a judge in the Ninth Circuit. Again, so we're immediately appealing it, and we think we'll win the appeal. There was no reason that should have happened. And a lot of wall is being built. And again, Mexico's doing a real job. Our Border Patrol, they've done incredible work. And ICE is, they're just special people. Law enforcement generally is just they're special. So with that, I just want to say that these meetings have been great. The one that I guess most people are interested in is China. We had a great meeting, President Xi, and we've known each other for as long as I'm president. And many of you were at the event in China a year ago when I've never seen anything like it. It was beautiful. We talked about it. We had dinner last night, President Xi and a number of us, and it was something really incredible in Beijing. The red carpet was rolled out for all of us, for this country, for our country. And we had a great meeting, and we will be continuing to negotiate. And I promised that for at least the time being, we're not going to be lifting tariffs on China. We won't be adding an additional, tremendous amount of, we have, I guess, $350 billion left, which could be taxed or could be tariffed. And we're not doing that. We're going to work with China on where we left off to see if we can make a deal. China is going to start, they're going to be consulting with us, and they're going to start spending money even during the negotiation to our farmers, our great farmers in the Midwest. I call them the great patriots, because that's what they are. They're patriots. And China is going to be buying a tremendous amount of food and agricultural product. And they're going to start that very soon, almost immediately. We're going to give them lists of things that we'd like them to buy. Our farmers are going to be a tremendous beneficiary. If you look at farmers, for 15 years before I came into this position, the farmers have had a hard time. You look at that graph, it was down, fairly steeply down. And a lot of it was because NAFTA was a terrible deal. Now I spoke with Nancy Pelosi last night about the USMCA, that's Mexico and Canada. And it's now before them, and they'll have to make a decision. But that's one that the farmers love, the manufacturers love, the unions love. It's a great deal for this country. And NAFTA was, I think, one of the worst trade deals ever made. Maybe the WTO was worse. The WTO, from the time that happened in 95, from the time that happened, China became like a rocket ship. It was pretty much flatlined, and then all of a sudden it joined the WTO, and they went through the roof. And very much to our liability, we lost tremendous amounts of money from that time. We just lost tremendous amounts. It was a terrible deal, WTO, World Trade. And if you look at NAFTA has been a disaster for our country. The USMCA is a great deal for our country. I think Canada's happy, but they're not happy like we're happy, but they're very happy. It's a good deal for Canada, good deal for Mexico. They want it. Mexico just approved it in full. Canada is waiting for us to approve it. I was with the Prime Minister, just left him a little while ago, and they're thrilled with the deal, and we're thrilled. Everybody wants it, and hopefully it'll be a bipartisan deal. I view that. I told that to Nancy Pelosi. I said, view this as a bipartisan deal, because a lot of the Democrats want it, especially, I would say, the farm areas, but really the industrial areas also, the unions. We've got things on wages, and we have things on the environment that few people have ever been able to get into an agreement. and it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal. And it's a great deal. Tremendous support. So they have to put it up for a vote. And I think you'll get a great vote in the House, and you'll get a great vote in the Senate, and you'll have a tremendous trade deal between the United States and Canada and Mexico, and it's going to be something very special. So we spend a lot of time with a lot of countries. We do business with a lot of them. Australia is an example. In Japan, we're negotiating with them because they send us millions of cars, and we send them wheat, which doesn't work. But what happens is Japan is, and you probably saw some of the things they're doing, but they're opening up many car companies and factories and plants throughout our country, especially in Michigan. We have a lot of activity in Ohio. Beyond Japan activity, we have a lot of activity now where companies are coming back to our country with a hot show. We're the hottest show in town. We're the hottest show in the world right now. Our economy is the best. One thing that every leader, virtually every leader that I dealt with said is that congratulations, it's incredible what's happened to the American economy. We're the best economy in the world. And it's something, and it started from election day. I put it out yesterday because we took a tremendous boost from the day after I got elected. The stock market went crazy from that point until essentially now. I think we hit in certain of the markets, we hit the all-time high again for many, many times. I can't tell you what it was, but many, many times. We broke the record, and our stock market is great. Our jobs are great. We have the best job numbers essentially we've ever had. In some categories, definitely we've ever had. The minimum, you could say, is in 51 years, but it's really more than that, and now it's going to be more than that. African American, Asian American, you saw that. Hispanic American, the best numbers in history, the history of our country. We have the lowest unemployment numbers, best numbers. And many others too. Blue-collar workers are doing fantastic. They're the biggest beneficiary of the tax cuts, the blue-collar. Blue-collar, we talk about for the rich, it's really for everybody. And it's also for big companies where they're moving here. And remember who owns the stocks, because the people that own the stock, it's not the big companies, it's the people with 401ks whose numbers are 60% and 70% and 42% and all different numbers that are tremendously high, where the other spouse thinks that the spouse that's investing in the 401k is a super genius. But those 401ks are very high. And if you listen to what I've been listening to, and we're not going to devote any time to it, but with that kind of an attitude, their 401ks are going to crash and the market would crash. Because with what they want to do, you would crash the market. And the amount of wealth that would be lost would be incredible. But I'd rather wait till later in the campaign to say that, because to be honest with you, I want them to go and take these policies and bring them up. I don't want them to change them anytime soon. Let them go have a good time. But it's been very interesting to watch what's happening. Actually, I found it very interesting. So with that, we'll take a few questions, and then I'm heading out to South Korea. And I may or may not see Kim Jong-un, but we'll be heading out to South Korea, spend about a day and a half there with President Moon, who's a really good guy. He was here too, as you know. I saw him. I met with him also. And we'll see what happens. Please.